Anybody that wants to say anything or comment or question or whatever, feel free.
Yeah, let them talk.
Yeah,
Audience.
yes, that's
We'd
what
like to
I'm
hear
saying.
from you. We'd like to hear from you.
Okay, anybody, there's a mic up here, so if anybody that wants to come up and say anything and talk. Andy, you want to say something?
Well, just first of all, thank you all very much for everything you've done for us and all in our entire history. But people should remember, we didn't get the whole of 6th Avenue for many years. My first march was in '74. There were still lanes of traffic open, and we didn't get 5th Avenue until we took it, because there was a moratorium on 5th Avenue parades, until '77 after the Anita Bryant stuff. My question is, nobody mentioned Craig Rodwell. I know he probably wasn't involved in GLF, but founded the Oscar Wilde Bookshop and pre-Stonewall. So did he have any role with the first march?
Craig had a major role with the first march. I give Craig credit with thinking up the idea to commemorate the Stonewall riot with a march. Craig Rodwell, that's another thing that I never got to. I wanted us all to mention names of people who don't get credit and aren't here anymore.
Randy Wicker.
Well, okay. Mike Brown, Lois Hart, mention names, throw names.
Martha Shelley,
Martha Shelley,
Maxwell, Suzanne, and Lois, Anna. There's some.
Pat Maxwell, did you mention her?
And Artie just told me the witch I was talking about was dead, Artie.
Leo Martello, Dr. Leo Martello.
Thank you,
Yes. Look,
Oi.
of course, Marty Robinson. There are so many, and I really hoped, I didn't judge the time good because I wanted to do a whole session on that. But, what I'm going to do now is so many are gone. And I think I want to take a minute and we'll just stay silent and think about them, okay? Okay, thank you all. I hope you're in the room with us. I'm sure you are.
So many of the original members of the Gay Liberation Front, men and women, are still alive, though. It's remarkable how many people have survived.
I also want to,
I'd like to say just a word about Craig Rodwell.
go for it.
Is this mic on?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I knew Craig from '67 when he opened his bookstore on Mercer Street with his partner Fred Sargent. And Craig was a difficult person to get along with, but for some reason I did get along with him. And of the books that I have written and pamphlets, far more books were sold through Oscar Wilde Bookstore than all other bookstores combined. And Craig was probably the most important person in organizing the first Christopher Street March.
Definitely.
Craig and two friends of his. And so I think he will always be remembered for that.
Yeah, I want to add something about Gay Youth because I really haven't spoken about my baby. Gay Youth was formed about 6 months into GLF. There had always been in New York for many years some form of socialized gay youth function of whatever. But through GLF, we literally organized an organization. Gay Youth was literally the first social services organization to our community's children. We had dances at Alternate U. We co-opted the idea from the women, and we got GLF to give us, if you recall, $50 to do that first dance.
We want our money back.
You're not getting it. Doug Carver did the light show. Do you remember that? We had film nights. We had a hotline, which we advertised all over New York. If you're young, gay, and you have a problem, call. I don't remember what the number was. We had newsletters. 4 still exist, and there are copies that we have available that I can give out. We went to high schools and spoke to classes. My favorite thing to do was, if you remember, during the Vietnam War, and I think Jim or someone on the panel made the point very clear that one of the biggest things that GLF did was anti-war activities. Well, when we spoke at high schools, and I remember Tony Russamano, if any of you remember, and myself went to high schools in Long Island, and we used to say to the people, many of you guys, are registered with your draft board. If you really don't want to go to Vietnam, we'll be glad to sign letters telling you you're gay.
I want to say one other quick thing. We talked a lot about the counterculture people here today and the movement, and it was a mixed bag for me. We were not welcomed by much of it. When we first proposed having dances at Alternate U, which was a counterculture place. Alternate University on West 14th.
6th Avenue and 14th Street.
Right. They didn't want to give us time and space to have the dances. All the other organizations, the yippies and the hippies and dippies, what was going on at the time, had dances and they would do them, and Alternate U would get 10% of the take, and they didn't want to give it to us, but they did. Well, we had our first dance, which I really wanted to talk about, but we don't have time. And not only was it successful, but we made a ton of money. And Alternate U got a ton of money. So after that, they begged us to have dances. We had no problem having dances on every Saturday. And then, of course, as Ellen told you, the women had a dance after a couple of months. And but I really I'm sorry we don't have time to talk about that kind of thing.
To the firehouse dances.
Right.
The-
Does
the,
any
uh,
the guys
the-
here want to say anything before we go to the audience? Okay. Okay.
No,
Anybody
wait, I
else want
wanna
to come
say-
up to the mic? Come
I
up
want
to
to
the
say
mic.
one thing about the,
Come up to the mic or yell.
No, come up to the mic.
about the organizing of the committee, where Craig was and John. There were a lot of work was done by a very small group of people, but it was one of the times when GAA and GLF members worked together.
Yes.
We weren't talking, but people did work. Some of us weren't talking.
Yeah,
People
and
did work together.
I wish we could have gotten more into that because the split off from GLF and GAA, it was something that I really felt was important to talk about tonight, but we're not going to have time. So next time.
I just remember that you were right when you said you didn't know what the reaction was going to be when the parade went up the street. So they told us, they said, now when you get dressed, don't wear anything hanging off your body. Don't wear any scarves, any belts, anything around your neck, a tie or something like that, because we don't know if we're going to get attacked, if the police are going to come and grab you by these scarves or whatever. So I do remember that point.
Thank you.